Earlier this week, we talked about the media not doing its due diligence by ignoring key information about one of former New York Governor Andrew Cuomo's key accusers. Now, as I've said before, the right-leaning media never liked Cuomo. The left-leaning media turned on him. So now it seems no one wants to actually do any reporting that doesn't further bolster the current narrative about him, which is, let's forget about him. He's a sexual harasser, and the New York Attorney General report concluded that. We now know that one of the critical accusers, Charlotte Bennett, had been accused of making up a prior sexual misconduct claim, and that there may have been a recording to prove it. But now we learn there's a potential issue with another one of the critical accusers, and that it may not have just been media negligence. The New York State Attorney General may have turned a blind eye to crucial details about the first woman to come forward against him. At a press conference today in New York, Rita Glavin, attorney for the former governor, revealed a series of text messages which appear to show that, according to Glavin, Lindsey Boylan, another one of the accusers, threatened a witness in the investigation. Now remember, Boylan claimed, among other things, that Cuomo had asked her to play strip poker. This is one of the most damning accounts against him. Now, there's this guy, Howard Zimsky. He's the head of the New York State Urban Development Agency. He had corroborated that critical claim of Boylan's. But we now learn, according to Glavin, that Zimsky only said that after receiving a threatening note from Boylan. Turns out that Zimsky had originally said that he, quote, didn't have the slightest inkling about such a comment from Cuomo. Rita Glavin revealed today that Boylan used a self-destructing messaging app to send a threatening note to Zimsky saying, quote, I can't wait to destroy your life, you S follower. After that message, Zimsky, with whom Boylan had a relationship that was once more than professional, according to Glavin, backed up Boylan's claim about the strip poker comment. Now, Glavin says that the investigators charged with putting together the Attorney General's report never asked Boylan about this text. They were aware of it, decided not to pursue it, and according to Glavin, Zimsky wasn't the only witness that Boylan tampered with. Glavin showed text that Boylan sent to other unnamed witnesses in the investigation. Messages to one of the witnesses, Boylan allegedly wrote, life is long and so is my memory and so are my resources. Another message, she wrote, the future is coming after a-holes. Further, Glavin says a witness provided information to the AG investigators, which showed that Boylan's media consultant resigned because she thought Boylan was making up her claims about Andrew Cuomo. According to Glavin, the investigators did not follow up on that information either, nor did they heed the claims of numerous witnesses who said they did not find Boylan to be credible. All of which, Rita Glavin says, adds up to a deeply flawed, politically motivated probe.
The Attorney General's investigation was shoddy. It was one-sided, and there was a predetermined outcome. And number two, that the resulting report was flawed and misleading and disregarded evidence that undermined the conclusions and the allegations that were made.
Joining us now is Rita Glavin, attorney for Andrew Cuomo. Thank you very much for coming on the show. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me, Dan.
All right, so first let me ask you about all of these messages. You heard in my introduction, I have to keep saying according to Glavin, because this hasn't been officially released, right, by the Attorney General. So how did you get these messages and this information?
Okay, with respect to the new information that pertains to the threatening message that Lindsey Boylan sent to Howard Zimsky, once Sheriff Apple filed the misdemeanor criminal complaint against the governor, the Albany County had an obligation to start providing me with discovery. So for the first time, I received Howard Zimsky's informal interview memo that was written by the investigators. I also got a copy of Howard Zimsky's testimony. I also got an unredacted transcript of Lindsey Boylan. And so I know what they did and did not ask her. When the Attorney General talks about, oh, I released thousands of pages of exhibits and transcripts, no. She's only released about 30 of the transcripts of the 179 people who were interviewed. I now have informal interview memos from a bunch of other people that the Attorney General does not reference in her report. And what I learned is that Howard Zemsky told AG investigators in early July of 2021, and this is after that they had interviewed Lindsey Boylan, and he told them that he received this message from her and that she sent it to him on what's called the Confide app, which automatically self-deletes the text. You can't screenshot it. You can't screenshot it. You can't take a photo of it. And what she said is, and what he testified to this, he told them this and then he testified to it again. She said, I can't wait to destroy your life, your SHIT follower. How does the AG not include that in the report, particularly because what's the motive behind her? What did she have on Howard Zemsky to say that? And Howard Zemsky did tell the investigators in early July of 2021, and I have the memo, and we will release the memo. The AG hasn't, but we will release it. And he admitted that in late 2017, there was an evening and they had a relationship that was more than professional. And this was something that had gotten around the Empire State Development Corporation. There had been rumors about it. It had even gone up to the general counsel, to the ESD, who's now Kathy Hochul's counsel. And she knew about this. And they were both brought in, Zemsky and David. They were Zemsky and Lindsey Boylan, and they were interviewed by the counsel of the governor, Alfonso David, who also testified in this case. But they redacted the portions of Alfonso David's testimony, and they both denied this having happened. But Mr. Zemsky did testify about it. Sure. Let
me ask you just a big picture question, because I think there are going to be a lot of people who are going to lose sight of some of the details here, right, with Zemsky and this and these names, et cetera. I tried to lay it out at the outset to explain to people what the heart of your argument was. But you know that there are going to be people who are going to say, oh, she's nitpicking about this and that. And Letitia James has actually responded to your press conference in a statement through a spokesperson. And she said, quote, another day, another attempt by the former governor to attack the brave women who called out his abuse. Thousands of pages of transcripts, exhibits, videos, and other evidence have already been publicly released. But these lies continue in an effort to mask the truth. Andrew Cuomo sexually harassed multiple women. Your response?
Yes, Governor Cuomo didn't sexually harass a single woman. And the Attorney General, through her August 3rd press conference, has been perpetuating a charade. Her report doesn't go through each of these women and apply the sexual harassment laws. It's my job as the governor's lawyer. You know, people say I'm nitpicking. No, these are serious credibility issues that the Attorney General knew about, ignored, and didn't ask any of the complainants about. And in fact, when they interviewed the governor, they didn't show him pictures that contradicted what some of these women had said. I welcome, okay, every time the Attorney General has been asked about this, she won't answer a specific question. In her 5-week campaign for governor, all she goes back to is, we've released thousands of pages. Yeah, you have. But you have 74,000 pages, and you've released maybe 100 exhibits. You had 179 people interviewed, most of whom were done by informal interviews, and you've never shared them with me. Why not? I've been asking since day one. And it's because the narrative was that the Attorney General was going to have a report done with biased investigators that would run the governor out of office, and so that she could run for governor herself.
Let me ask you the big picture, though.
There are
again,
material
in terms
issues.
In terms of the number of women, right? There are going to be people who are going to say, okay, let's even assume you're right about 1 or 2. It's just that there's so many women making similar-ish, and they're not all similar, but similar-ish allegations here. And as a result, isn't it time, I think some people will say, to sort of move on? Your response?
You can't move on. You can't move on when there has been an injustice. And the Attorney General has said that repeatedly. The governor needs to move on with his life. When someone has been unjustly found to have done something that they didn't do, you will never move on. I see it every day. I see it every day with defendants in criminal cases. I see it every day with defendants in civil cases. With respect to this whole mantra, oh, there's 11 women, there's 11 women. There's not. The case really comes down to 2 or 3 of the women, particularly Brittany Camiso, Charlotte Bennett, and Lindsey Boylan. With respect to the remaining allegations, they are qualitatively different, and the governor doesn't dispute a number of them. You know, one of the 11 is a woman that the governor kissed on the cheek at a wedding who didn't even work for him. Another of the 11 is a doctor who gave the governor a COVID test, and the governor said, you make that mask, or you make that gown look good, or the mask look good. None of this rises to the level of sexual harassment, but it has been overplayed, and no one in the media has gone through each of the 11 to say, this is not sexual harassment. It's not sexual harassment, you know, to have petty slights and trivial inconveniences. But why I'm focusing on the 2 or 3 most serious allegations is that there are clear problems with their credibility. The media did not want to explore it, and they ignored it.
Understood. Final question. I've only got a second for it. Do you expect that the governor is going to run for re-election? The former governor is going to run for re-election?
Oh, I can't comment on it because I'm not a political advisor to the governor. There's one thing, though, Dan, that you mentioned that I do want to correct. You referred to earlier on about one of the media consultants who worked for Lindsey Boylan. Her name is Lupe Todd Medina. I have now been informed, I did not know this, that the Attorney General's office did interview her. The reason I have not seen evidence that she had been interviewed is because the Attorney General won't give me the evidence. What I can tell you is that people close to the governor in December of 2020 had been told, as I understood it, that she left Boylan's campaign within a day or 2 after the allegations because she took issue with the allegations. But I've learned she was interviewed. Dan, thank you for having me on. I really appreciate it. This has been an important issue. I hope the media digs further on this, because what happened when this was released on August 3rd is everybody jumped on the bandwagon because I think they were afraid to challenge and look with a discerning eye about what these allegations were, and they were not.
Rita Glavin, thank you very much for coming on the show. Appreciate it. Thank you for watching. Click the red subscribe button below so you can get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.